Hey, what's going on, everybody? Titus here with a Master Duel update video. There's been some information going around, and if you haven't heard already, Master Duel is getting an update. Right at the end of the Battle Pass and the Selection Packs, Master Duel will be updating and getting some new cards. I wanted to use a video and kind of show people where the meta is gonna head and what you can kind of expect to happen. So this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Guide. They have a site as well that has a lot of the information for Master Duel. But credit to them on their Twitter, they found the selection pack stuff and they showed some cards that were announced from Konami for Master Duel. And you'll see two cards on here, or two archetypes on here, and I really hope that Yu-Gi tubers and other people don't overhype what's happening here. I want people to kind of maybe temper expectations and then be excited afterwards. So, number one, you'll see Despia. I'm very excited about this deck. I'm actually going to play this deck when Albaz Structure Deck comes out. The Albaz Structure Deck doesn't release for another 3 weeks, I think it is. It's like mid-April, basically. So, I doubt it will be in Master Duel. The Albaz Structure Deck is what makes Despia insane. It is literally a tier 1 deck when we have Branded Fusion, along with the Despia cards and Branded in Red, along with the Mirror Jade Dragon and that kind of stuff. This is not going to be that. I'm pretty sure, unless Konami really pulls a 180 on us, which would be really great, this is probably not going to be it, Chief. We're going to see Despia, and Despia by itself doesn't do anything. I wish it did. Without cards from Burst of Destiny, like Branded in Red and Branded Opening, Despia's just kind of sit there. You need your fusion spell with Branded in Red or Branded Fusion, but at least Branded in Red. And on top of that, you need a fusion card that came out in one of the recent sets, Battle of Chaos, with the Chimera Chimera something. It's a big boy, 3,300, pops cards, draws cards, really good card. But don't expect anything else. Now, I could be crazy, and they could possibly update and maybe give us a couple of those little nitty-bitty bits from Burst of Destiny without fully going with the Flunders and without going with DPE, which is, only 2 cards. All they have to do is give us Branded in Red and Branded Opening, and then the deck is actually playable for the most part. But I don't see that happening. We basically are getting everything that happened from Synchro Storm. So, and a reason I say this is because the other card pack that got released are right here, are these Synchro Monsters. The additional pack will be Beyond Speed. And you'll see a card right here in the center, and you better get very familiar with this card, because this is the only card that's really going to kind of change the meta. It's basically going to be exactly the same, but you're going to see Synchro decks, and you're going to see Virtual World put this card up as well. So it's not really going to change anything. It's going to be the same decks in the high tiers. Eldritch is still going to be an issue. Drytron is still going to be an issue. And if they don't do a Forbidden Limited list, all the top tier decks are going to be a problem, and then you're going to have Baron de Fleur on top of that. So what Baron de Fleur does is basically an Omni Negate. She can... Or I guess he can. I'm pretty sure it's a she. It's Baron de Fleur. So it's just an Omni Negate. And then you can also target a card on the field. You can destroy it. And then during the standby phase, you can target a level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard. You can return Baron to the extra deck and then summon Baron. This card's really, really, really good. And you'll see it in Synchro decks. Like right now, Pile is what's being played. It's like 60 cards of really, really good stuff. And this card is played in there because it's an Omni Negate, it beats Nibiru, and it's fairly easy to make. But that's really the only card that's being released that's going to change the meta. Swordsoul plays this card. It's one of Swordsoul's main boss monsters, and some people are excited because you see the Iris Swordsoul right here. But Iris Swordsoul was in Dawn of Majesty, and so is Despia. Yeah, Swordsoul didn't get good until Burst of Destiny. So everyone's like, Swordsoul, Swordsoul, Swordsoul. No. Iris is bad. Not a good card. At all. it doesn't mean the rest of the Swordsoul stuff is going to come out. We're basically getting all of the stuff from Dawn of Majesty and Synchro Storm that we missed out. We'll maybe see some at King's Court, if King Court isn't even already in the game, but you'll get the Jack's Knight, the King's Knight, and the Joker's Knight and all that stuff, and the Queen's Knight, all that stuff. Potentially we'll see some of those cards, but I think we're just going to see up to Dawn of Majesty, which means we're going to be in the meta we're going to have the same meta for 3 more months if it's going to be another Master Duel. I really hope I'm wrong, but I see a lot of information and a lot of copium, man. People wanting this to be like the next meta shifting thing because they're tired of it. Let's face it, we've been playing the same TCG meta before the recent ban list for like 6 months. It was nothing but Tri-Brigade Bird Up. Swordsoul came out, Burst of Destiny came out with DPE, and now we're playing Pile, Adventure Engine, DPE Scythe, and Swordsoul stuff, along with Flunder being a rogue contention. A lot of people are probably really excited about Flunder, and I don't disagree. I think Flunder is going to be an amazing pick for a lot of people. But this isn't it. We still have, 3 more months until we get Burst of Destiny? That's crazy. I guess there's also been data mined about the Cyber Dark structure deck. So we're going to get the new Cyber Dark cards, which is a fun deck to play. Don't get me wrong. That deck is really cool. It puts up some really cool boss monsters. But in terms of meta-defining archetypes, we're not there yet. Unless Konami pulls a 180 on us and says, oh, here you go. Here's all the Swordsoul archetype. But please just temper your expectations a little bit. Even Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Guide is talking about it. It's like, don't expect the Swordsoul to be coming. The Iris Swordsoul was released in Dawn of Majesty. The actual Swordsoul archetype is in Burst of Destiny. Yeah. I really don't see that. I really don't see that. With the way Konami has been treating Master Duel with this slow drip, I don't see this being a big thing. 3 months and then boom, just a brand new meta. I don't see it because Master Duel is really... It's for the hardcore TCG players are going to play it regardless, but it's really for a lot of the new players that want to kind of get back into the game, get back into that slow drip and keep playing things. And all of a sudden you do a meta shift on them within an instant. Sorry for the clap, I apologize. You do a meta shift on them in an instant, you're going to upset a lot of people. You have to really you have to ease them in bit by bit because DPE, when Destroy Phoenix Enforcer comes out, that's going to be the only card you're going to see. You're going to get DPE Scythe locked all the time, and then people are going to be very upset about the game. Because, I mean, that's just what's happening right now in the TCG, and right now the TCG format is just boring. It's all it's all Brave Engine, Adventure Engine. They're the same thing, just different names. And then DPE Scythe locks until Albaz Structure Deck comes out. So, I mean... Even you have this, then you have Burst of Destiny. Burst of Destiny is going to release 2 tiered decks, Flunder, Swordsoul, and then it's going to put DPE in everything, which is going to make Invoke Dogmatica another tier 1 deck. You could say Shadal. Invoke Dogmatica is pretty good right now, but DPE in Dogmatica is an insane deck. It just has so much consistency. It plays a bunch of hand traps. It has such a good grind game. It's a crazy deck. Swordsoul, another great, does the same thing every turn, but it's very, very consistent and very, very strong. And then you're going to have Flunder, which is kind of anti-meta. It doesn't have the consistency of the other decks, but it's still very strong. You get a normal summon boss monster that is a skill drain for attack position special summon cards. You get Book of Moons. You can do Mega Ryza and start your loop and start looping Mega Ryza and all of the Flunder cards, and you can't let your opponent play the game. It's a cool deck, but those are Burst of Destiny. So please, I just really want people to kind of not get so involved with all of the hype that is happening, because I know a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players want something new, and I don't blame them. I really want something new as well. A fun thing that's going to happen with this is maybe we get the Sue ships with Dawn of Majesty, which is a fun little archetype that people can play, but it's not a good archetype. But here's the actual official announcement for the new selection pack. It's called the Ruler's Mask. So that is, like, the Despia is the anti-Dogmatica. It has the lore there where the Dogmatica is about the church and order. Despia is about the theater and chaos. So it's really cool, like, back and forth, but they fuse with light and dark monsters. They make really big fusion monsters, and so they do pretty well with Shadal or Invoked. You can play them in that engine, but you still need a couple cards to make the deck pretty good. Aluber is the best card in that archetype, and so It kind of plays everything out, but you want the branded opening to help facilitate your plays. When you discard Tragedy, you do branded opening to summon Deluber. There's some good stuff there. But this kind of just gives us the rundown. And it says, others included are the Iris Swordsoul, you are Starving Venomy Dragon, you are Anti-Human Intelligence, Messiah, and etc. So this tells me right here that they're not going to do the archetype. They're not going to do the Swordsoul archetype. Unless this unlocks a secret pack for the Swordsoul archetype, but I don't think that's true. I really don't see it happening. I hate to clip people's wings, but I just don't see it. And then, of course, on the other one, on the Synchro pack called Beyond Speed, we're going to get some new Speedroid cards, which is cool. Speedroid is a fun, goofy deck for people to play that is just kind of out there and not necessarily meta. But then you have the Baron de Fleur, and expect to see this card everywhere. Excuse me. It will be in a lot of different decks. It's just very versatile and very strong card. Being an Omni to gate before you get into B-Root and high level play is great. Getting an Omni on the field anytime is great. And easy to make is even better. So hopefully we can see some... We have no word on a Forbidden Limited list, but hopefully we can see something. Konami needs to address Banquet of Millions. I'm sure some of you guys have probably seen Banquet of Millions, and I'm sure you probably heard a lot of people talk about it if you're in the Yu-Gi-Oh scene at all, but Banquet of Millions is an OTK deck that bots can play to farm. It's very consistent and very easy to do. It's making people angry because you have to play a 13-card extra deck to stop it from happening. I understand. I do get it. I've played against it a couple times. I've lost against it a couple times. I've won against it a couple times. It is a problem deck, and I think it needs to be addressed for the community. But community... You're in for a crazy world when you start seeing DPE Scythe Locks. You think Banquet of Millions is bad? DPE Scythe Locks is gonna be crazy. Phantom Knight DPE is insanely consistent. And then when you add Adventure Engine later on down the line, it's gonna be even worse. But PK DPE Scythe Lock is gonna be in your future very soon when DPE comes out. So Banquet of Millions, yeah, they guarantee that they're going to win, but it's really hard to stop DPE Scythe Lock. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I don't want to say that. If you play DD Crow, it's pretty good if they don't set up some kind of Omni, so you just hit the Scythe out of the grave. But it'll get worse. It'll absolutely get worse. So just be prepared for that. I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, but I just don't want people to get their hopes up. Let's temper our expectations and then be excited when it actually happens, when a leak comes out that the cards are going to be in there. There's a lot of copium on Twitter, so let's kind of simmer that down and let's chill. Let's wait to see what Konami does. Let's see what cards they release, because we're going to be on a 3-month schedule if that's the case, which means we're going to be 6 to 9 months behind TCG and a year to 15 months behind the OCG, which is a lot. A lot of us TCG players have been playing this same format for a while, and then to come on here and play the same format again, it might hurt the game, so Konami might think of ways to kind of shake it up. So Konami, if you are listening, which I doubt that you are, but please do something big, surprise everybody, and just release stuff for people to play so that they can play with their new deck. That way, we're not seeing the same things. We're not seeing Drytron all the time. We're not seeing all this other stuff. Because as I said, you're going to see a couple Synchro decks. That's it. That's all you're going to do. So, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this quick little update. If you like the content, please like the video down below. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe for more. I'm about to go film a bunch of stuff, so I really appreciate it. It really helps me out and get some motivation. Happy dueling, everybody. We'll see you later.